Hello Junior Tuckies! In today's lesson for exam preparation, I will be discussing paper 2, sections B and C, the contextual questions. I am Mrs. Bredenkamp and I hope this lesson will help you in the future. Here are some tips for answering the contextual questions. The first thing is reading the text is NB. It is important. Grade 11s, if you walk into that exam venue, and you haven't read your novel and you haven't read your drama, you are not going to do well. You need to know those characters, you need to know the themes, and you need to know the plot like the back of your hand. Then read and decode the questions carefully, breaking it into meaningful parts. Use the signposting tip that I gave in the exam preparation series about the comprehension. Then respond to the specifics of the question. Respond to what they are asking you. Superficial or generalized answers will not get the maximum marks that you could achieve. Then, avoid lengthy answers. It's not about how much you know, but how well you can tell the marker you know about that specific question. Then, be guided by the line references provided in the question. And finally, use the lines given as a springboard into a broader discussion that shows a detailed and thorough knowledge of the entire text. These questions are not comprehension questions. Let's have a look at some example questions. These are typical questions that you will find in section B and C. So place this extract in context. What do they want from you? They want you to explain what leads up to this point, not what happens in the extract or after the extract. Then, account for. Provide a reason as to why. Then, in context, explain what is meant in the extract. But this must be underpinned, or it must be thought about with the broader understanding of the text in the background of your mind. Then, using your knowledge of the novel or the play as a whole, you need to provide specific references taken from elsewhere in the text, another part in the text. And then when you are asked to account for or explain the change in, explain what it was like before this point, what it is now, and what has caused the change. And then when you are asked to explain or comment on the significance of, refer to the connotations and the ideas associated with the character and the object in the discussion. Here are a couple of more tips. So, when you are asked if something is typical of a character, the response must be grounded in references from elsewhere in the text. So you must provide evidence to support this type of characteristic of a character in your play or in your novel. Then, when you are asked to give an opinion or comment on the validity or to discuss the extent to which, a mixed response is perfectly acceptable. You can have a yes and a no answer, but there must be evidence of the evaluation or the judgments. You always need evidence to back up your answer. Then, with literary concepts such as irony, foreshadowing, mood, and tone, you must study this when you're answering sections B and C. And then finally, attention must be given to the spelling of the characters' names. Come on, grade 11s, if you don't know how to spell the name of your character, the marker's going to think that you don't know what you are doing. So the answers must also be clearly expressed in a grammatically correct way. In the next slide, we are going to practice a little bit. Now, let's have a look at stagecraft. This is something that is not always taught correctly, but it's a very important part of answering the contextual questions when it comes to your drama. So, when asked how they would stage certain lines from a play, a candidate must be specific in their choice of body language. So you need to show the gesture or the movements. And then you also need to highlight the tone, so the feeling that the character had in that particular experience. You do not need to highlight the tone of their voice, like the volume or the pitch of their voice. You also need to tell us why the characters would act like that and feel like that as motivation, as evidence. So I've given an example over here from Shakespeare's Macbeth. I think that it's quite a popular choice either in grade 10 or 11 for English. So this could be a question. Refer to Macbeth's words and the stage directions in lines 675. Macbeth. This is a sorry sight, and then the stage direction, looking on his hands. If you were the director of a production of Macbeth, how would you instruct the actor to deliver these lines? Pay specific attention to the body language and the tone. Motivate your instructions. So, Macbeth stares at his hands in horror of the reality of what he has done. He has killed not only his king, his kinsman, but a selfless leader. His tone should be foreboding and ominous because Macbeth knows he cannot take back what he has done. Alright, over here we have section C, the drama. I'm not going to go through section B, the novel, just because so many different schools do very different novels. You're going to apply all of the knowledge that you know about the drama, about answering contextual questions, as well as answering that literature essay question to your novel as well. So you will see over here, and I chose Macbeth because it is quite a famous play to do, a very popular play to do in either grade 10 or 11. So you will see it says section C, drama, answer only on the drama you have studied. I just want to have a look and to show you the essay question for Macbeth. I'm also not going to go through that. Please go have a look at my lit essay lesson that I've done before. So in a carefully planned essay of 350 to 400 words, discuss the role of women in the play for 25 marks. I actually wanted to show you what it looks like on the memo. So this is what a marking guideline looks like for a literature essay. So the fact that you have to talk about women, remember to use the structure, to use the steps that I've recommended, to use the Peel method, and then obviously have a sound introduction and a sound conclusion as well. So this is what it looks like. It just gives the markers some tips, some of the quotes and things like that, and then you will get your 25 marks at the end. You'll see over here, let's say this is a guide. Please consider alternative and relevant answers. Okay, but let's get into the contextual questions for Macbeth. So over here we have question 11, Macbeth, contextual questions, extract E. I'm not going to read the extract for you. I think you're going to get bored. You can open up the booklet and do that for yourself, but it does come from Act 2, Scene 1. It's where Macbeth has just killed King Duncan, and Lady Macbeth is kind of irritated with how he is distraught, and yes, that is a just and just of that. So we have the first question, 11.1, place the extract in context for 2 marks. Now remember, we need to say what happened just before and what's happening now, what and not what is going to happen in the future. So let's have a look at the memo. So place it in context. Macbeth and his wife, or Lady Macbeth, have planned to murder King Duncan while his visit to the castle. He's just stabbed King Duncan to death, and then he returns to their bedchamber where Lady Macbeth is waiting for him. So over here, for any 2 relevant points, you will get your full 2 marks. Let's look at 11.2. Why would Macbeth think that he had most need of blessing and amen in line 7? So why, meaning you need to explain, okay, that he need of most blessing and amen in line 7 for 2 marks over here. So this is where you need to know the plot and the characters very well. Macbeth feels incredibly distraught about killing King Duncan, and he regrets it deeply. And the reason that he's asking for these blessings is because he's just committed murder. And he even goes on to say, although it's not in the line, it's the amen is stuck in my throat. So he can't even say amen because what he's done is so evil and wrong and against God. But let's have a look at the memo. So Macbeth realizes that his sin of murdering Duncan has removed him from God's presence, and he's admitting that he has done evil for 2 marks. Let's look at 11.3. So, these deeds must not be thought after these ways, so it will make us mad. Lines 9 and 10. Explain the dramatic irony of Lady Macbeth's words for 2 marks. Now, this is important because we need to obviously look at lines 9 and 10, and then we need to explain the dramatic irony of Lady Macbeth's words for 2 marks. So over here, you're going to get marks for explaining what dramatic irony is, and that is when the characters on the stage do not know something that us as the audience does. So we've got the inside intel, we've got the inside scoop, we've got the tea, the people on stage do not. And we need to explain how these words that she's saying over here eventually become quite a part of dramatic irony. She's saying that these deeds must not be thought of. So you must just put these deeds, this murder in the back of your mind, or it will make you mad. And this is ironic because she eventually goes mad, where she is walking through the castle, or sleepwalking through the castle, trying to wash the blood off of her hands. But let's have a look at the memo. So, later on, Lady Macbeth does lose her mind because she's actually haunted by the images of Duncan's bloody murder for 2 marks. Let's look at 11.4. In the lines 19 to 20, Macbeth refers to Glamis and Cawdor. From what do you know about the play? What do these references imply? Okay, so we have to look at line 19 and 20. He refers to Glamis and Cawdor. And then from what you know about the play, so your knowledge of the plot, what do these references imply? For 3 marks. So we know that he is the Thane of Glamis. This is what he was before the play started. And now he became the Thane of Cawdor, you know, when it ties in with the witch's prophecy and all of that. So knowing this, what does it imply about the play? Let's have a look. So Glamis and Cawdor are Macbeth's titles, or you could have said these are the titles that the witch greet Macbeth with. And he's referring to himself when he mentions these titles, and that he will not sleep again. Why won't he sleep again? Because his conscience will not allow him. He has murdered sleep. He'll never sleep again. So over here, you're getting 2 marks for the explanation and 1 mark for saying that it is his title. Let's look at 11.5. What does Lady Macbeth mean when she accuses Macbeth of being brain sickly in line 23? Mention 3 things from the extract that prove her accusation. Okay, so what is this question asking you? What does Lady Macbeth mean when she says that he's brain sickly? Now you need to mention 3 things from the extract. To prove this accusation for 3 marks. So let's go have a look at line 23 over here. So this is 5, 4, 3. So brain sickly of things. You get some water and wash this filthy witness from your hands. Why did you bring these daggers from this place? They must lie there. Go carry them and smear the sleepy grooms with blood. So over here, one of the things that Macbeth has done is that he's actually brought the murder weapon with him, which is not good if you're going to murder someone. That's the first thing that someone looks for. What else does he do? He says, I will go no more. I'm afraid to think of what I have done. Look on it again, I dare not. So he doesn't want to look at what he's done again. So this brain sickliness, he's actually traumatized, if we're going to look at it in a futuristic, a common context now, he's traumatized at what has happened. If we go even further, he goes on to say, still it cried, sleep no more. Okay, let's go even further. I've had the need of blessing, amen, stuck in my throat. So you need to go and look through the extract and see where's Macbeth acting a little bit crazy, which is okay because, I mean, he just murdered a man, but where does Lady Macbeth see this as an unrelenting response from him? So let's have a look at the memo. So he seems to be lost in thought. Okay, he refers to himself in third person. That's in line 19 and 20, where he's talking about shall sleep no more, Macbeth shall sleep no more. Then he forgot to leave the daggers in Duncan's room, so he needs to actually go back and cover the guards that he killed with blood to make it seem like they murdered King Duncan. Then he refers to prayer and God, and that he is not going to be, this isn't a redeemable thing that he's done. And then he refuses actually to return the daggers to Duncan's room. So you will get the mark for any 3 points that are well expressed, well explained. Let's move on to the next question. 11.6, refer to lines 31 to 36. What is Lady Macbeth's attitude towards her husband and the crime he has just committed? Quote in support of your answer for 3 marks. So we need to refer to lines 31 to 36. What is Lady Macbeth's attitude towards her husband? Okay, what is it towards the crime? And we need to quote to support the answer for those 3 full marks. So let's have a look at line 31 to 36. Infirm of purpose, give me the daggers, the sleeping and the dead are but as pictures. 'Tis the eye of childhood that fears a painted devil. If he do bleed, I'll gild the faces of the grooms withal, for it must seem their guilt. And then we have the stage direction here, exit knocking within. So what is her attitude over here towards Macbeth? She says, give me the daggers. So it's almost out of frustration. It says, give it to me, I'll just go do it. Then she says here, the sleeping and the dead are but pictures. So she's saying that you shouldn't be afraid or you shouldn't be traumatized by these dead men because it's just as if they are pictures, they are lifeless. Then she goes on to say, 'tis the eye of the childhood that fears a painted devil. So almost like Macbeth is acting like a child because he's fearing a painted devil, the fake devil. Okay? If he do bleed, I'll gild the faces of the grooms withal. So if King Duncan is still bleeding, I'm going to wipe the blood on the guards' faces so that it seems like they are guilty. So her attitude towards Macbeth is definitely frustration. If we look at it in context of the entire play, she was incredibly frustrated that he didn't even think of killing Duncan in the first place. She's the one who wanted this to happen so that Macbeth can become king, she can become queen. Then what is her attitude towards the crime? It's almost nonchalant, that she doesn't really care, that it doesn't affect her much. But let's have a look at the memo. So she's irritated or short-tempered. She thinks Macbeth is overreacting, that he should get it together. Okay, this infirm of purpose, like, come on, let's do it. Then she also thinks that the sleeping and the dead are but pictures. Okay, so murder is nothing. They're just sleeping. It's childish to be scared of the dead. Okay, have a look over here how the quotations have been used to justify. Please, you need to do this grade 11s, especially at a grade 11 level and going into matric. And then a little special note here to the markers, add 3 marks only if reference to Macbeth and the death is made, and then you award 1 mark, only 1 mark if you quote it. Then let's move on to 11.7. So this is Anne, don't forget, you need to answer more questions. We have another extract, also not going to read it to you. It is the part where Macbeth and Macduff are having their little fight. We can see over here that it's Act 5, Scene 9. So 11.7, my soul is too much charged with blood of thine already. Lines 7 and 8. Explain what Macbeth is referring to here and what it reveals about his state of mind. Okay, so we need to have a look at lines 7 and 8. So we need to explain what Macbeth is referring to and what it reveals about his state of mind. Now, this is where you need, for the 3 marks, and this is where you need to have knowledge of the play. At this point, he's lost all types of any remorse about killing people, about killing his best friend Banquo. He has no care in the world. He only cares about himself and the ambition to be king at this point in time. So let's have a look at lines 7 and 8. So 5, 6, 7. So, but get thee back, my soul is too much charged with the blood of thine already. So if you remember from the play, which you should, Macbeth killed Macduff's entire family. So Macbeth is saying over here, go away, I don't want to fight you in battle because the blood of your family is already on my hands. So this question is twofold over here. So we need to explain to what is he referring to, so the death of Macduff's family, and what does this reveal about his state of mind, and we need to give 2 points over here. So let's have a look. So he's referring to the murders of Macduff's family for 1 mark, and he sounds as though he is guilty or burdened by this memory, that his soul is charged, that it is no longer the hell-bent murder of how he felt earlier in the play, and that will be for your 3 marks over there. Let's look at 11.8. Clearly describe who the angel is that Macduff mentions in line 20 and why Macduff refers to her for a full 3 marks. So you are describing who the angel is, okay, and why he refers to her for 3 marks over here. So let's have a look in line 20. Despair thy charm, and let the angel whom thou still hast served tell thee, Macduff was from his mother's womb untimely ripped. Now this is also important, understanding the plot over here. Who told Macbeth that the only person that could kill him was a man not born of a woman? It was the witches. Okay, and this is where Macduff comes in with that line, the mic drop moment, and he's like saying to him, I was born of a woman, but I was untimely ripped from her womb. So that would have been a cesarean section back in those days. So he didn't have a natural birth. His mother didn't have a natural birth. So he is the one who's going to kill Macbeth. So what is it asking? Who is the angel and why does he refer to her? So let's have a look at the memo. The angel is the 3 witches, and he refers to their promise to Macbeth that he has to fear no one of woman born. And this tells us that Macbeth of the reinsurance that nobody can harm him, but Macduff's mother had her baby delivered through cesarean section. And that is where you're going to get your full 3 marks. Let's look at 11.9, our last question over here, and a 4-mark question. So we have an extract from extract E and from extract F. Now, if you were directing an actor in the role of Macbeth, how would you instruct him to act in these 2 extracts? Consider tone and body language in your explanation. So we need to look at extract E and extract F. Consider the tone and body language in your explanation for the 4 marks. So you're going to give an explanation over here about tone. Why do you say so? You're going to get your marks. Then you're going to say how is he acting over here, and then say why and get your 2 marks. Okay, so let's have a look at extract E. But wherefore could not I pronounce amen? I had most need of blessing, and amen stuck in my throat. So girls, this, or grade 11s rather, this is where you need to understand your play, your plot. I cannot say it or reinforce it even more. To be able to answer this question, you must understand what is happening. So over here, like I explained before, he is distraught, he's traumatized about the fact that he just killed King Duncan. And in the previous slides, I did give an explanation similar to this. But let's have a look at what the memo has saying over here. So for extract E, you could say that he's in a state of shock. He could be walking slowly. He will appear to be unaware of his surroundings. He could be speaking slowly, monotonously to indicate the shock and the horror. He could even be touching his throat, saying that the words amen cannot come out. Then let's look at extract F. Accursed be that tongue that tells me so, for it hath cowed my better part of man. And be these juggling fiends no more believed, that palter with us in a double sense, that keep the word of promise to our ear, and break it to our hope. I'll not fight with thee. Now, once again, knowing your plot, you need to understand what's happening over here to be able to give tone and body language in the explanation. So let's have a look at the memo. So, at this particular point in time, Macbeth has lost everything. He could be subdued, disappointed, or even devastated. His shoulders should be downturned and his movements slow. But this little extract over here, or this extra info for the marker, award marks for alternative or relevant answers for your full 4 marks, and then your 25 marks out of the question paper. And finally, the literature essay. These are just some tips about the lit essay. Please, if you want more information, a better and in-depth lesson about the literature essay, go and have a look at the literature essay lesson I have done in the past. So, you need to know the following to ensure that you have a successful essay. You need to know the themes, motifs, and symbols of your novel or drama. You need to know the characters. You need to know the plot details. And then you need to use the structures, either Peel, Sir, Texas, or P. I like the Peel method of point, example, explain, and link. Then you must be able to all argue according to the topic given. Do not go off topic. In my previous lesson that I did on the literature essay, I give you steps to make sure that you do not go off the topic. Then you must make a different statement in each paragraph. Give evidence to prove that statement, and then explain how that proves the topic. Also, in my lessons, I do give you steps on how to remember to always refer back to the question. Then remember to conclude each paragraph. Remember to answer one essay question and one set of short questions, or the contextual questions, from sections B, and another type from section C. And then, once again, for more information, please watch the lesson that I did on the literature essay. This is the end of paper 2 for exam preparation. Good luck with writing paper 2, and next up is the explanation and exam preparation for paper 3. Bye!